I believe we are in the middle of World War III right now.
Already in the middle.
Already in the middle. I think what people don't recognize, to go to the long answer, is that war evolves, war changes, just like a virus, just like any one of us, right? At 35, you're not the same person you were at 25, and you're not the same person that you're going to be at 55. What happens is people think World War III is going to look like World War II. I don't know why people think that.
The generals fight the last war.
But they think that. But World War II didn't look like World War I. Vietnam didn't look like World War II. The Gulf War, the War on Terror, didn't look anything like the Vietnam War, right? So why do we keep thinking that World War III is going to look like bombers and tanks and nuclear weapons? That's not what World War III is going to look like. World War III is a war doctrinally, meaning what's taught in the Army war schools and the Air Force war schools, not just in the United States, but across all the first world countries. World War III is a war of what's called proxy war. Proxy war is when rich countries fund conflicts in small countries, also known as inter-state war, intra-state war, rather than inter-state war. Inter-state means two independent states invade and fight with each other. The closest thing we have to that right now is Russia and Ukraine.
But wouldn't that be the textbook definition of a proxy war?
It's not a textbook definition because it's a blend of the two.
Okay.
Syria is a textbook definition, right? Internal conflict led to a civil war that was funded by outside partners. The United States funded one side, Russia funded the other side, right? Textbook. Libya, textbook.
Got it. So because the U.S. is using Ukraine as a proxy, but with Russia.
And Russia did physically invade across the border, right? So it's a hybrid. But you're exactly right. Like what we're seeing is that starting with the war in Afghanistan, we started to leave the world of interstate war, where we invaded Afghanistan, and we started to go into a world of proxy conflict. Yemen was a proxy conflict. Syria was a proxy conflict. Libya was a proxy conflict. And we continue to keep seeing them happen. And that's just the United States. When you look at China, when you look at Russia, when you look at Turkey, when you look at Saudi Arabia, there are even more. There are many, many more conflict zones. There's 112 conflict zones in the world right now, all being funded by external countries that are funding a conflict in a third world country against a competitor to their country. Just like we're funding Ukraine, Russia and China are funding Russia, right? Like you look at Israel right now. Israel's struggling because the conflict was a very convenient proxy conflict against Iran, because Iran was funding Hezbollah, the United States was supporting Israel, but now it's gone out of control. And now it's starting to mutate into something different, right? With Benny Gantz leaving the war cabinet, you're even seeing Israel itself divided over how it's going to handle itself in Gaza. So we have this evolution, this transformation of the battlefield that will become the next version of the doctrine that we teach to our military generals of tomorrow. So I argue that World War III is already happening. World War III is a war of proxy conflict, and that proxy conflict is how rich countries can tell their populations, we're not at war. And what is Biden telling us every day? We're not at war. We're not going to war. We're not in a conflict. To hell, honestly, of course we are.